Eyal, thank you for joining us. As we start, can you talk maybe a little bit about your current role, what's in your purview?
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you for having me here.
Mhm.
I'm very happy to have been able to join. So look, I'm head of I'm head of the cloud go-to-market team at
Mhm.
Utimaco. My
Mhm.
responsibility is figuring out how do we sell some of our products and solutions, whether they're licensed and softwares delivered in SaaS or managed services, how they're sold in cloud marketplaces. And
Mhm.
I'm also responsible for figuring out how do we engage with the cloud service providers as both as partners and as potential buyers of our products.
Mhm. I understand. I understand. So that kind of paints the picture of where you are now, and it's kind of a dot in the career arc. But how did you get into cybersecurity sales? What was
Sure.
the starting point?
So I mean, I ended up in this point where I'm working cross-functionally across teams, but I originally got into cybersecurity sales, so just plain sales in general through the very standard inside sales slash SDR role. From then on, moved to regional sales manager role, and eventually started growing into a sales manager, sales director, and I landed finally in a VP of global solution sales role, which was my previous position at Utimaco, where I was responsible for building up the
Mhm.
newly found solution sales team responsible for sort of cloud and managed services.
I understand. I understand. I actually saw on your profile that you had a position in Mexico, I think, in Australia. So it looks like you had a very global experience
I've,
as
I've been all
part
over
of
the
the.
place. Yeah,
Huh?
I want to consider myself a global citizen, but not really. I mean, I've lived in a few places. The good thing is it gives you a very clear idea that maybe you need to have a global go-to-market plan, but you always end up having to localize and make sure to just change the content, change the approach sometimes depending on the region or the geography you're at.
Certainly, one size doesn't fit all.
No, definitely not.
I understand. I understand. Well, cybersecurity in general, I think, has just exploded in importance over the years. I guess with adoption of technology, but also I think o- everywhere in the organization, from the board of directors to kind of mid managers, I think people are a lot more aware of cybersecurity in general. And I think as a result, the side effect, I guess, of this is just, at least up until now, it seems like there's just
Right.
so much venture money going into the space. Again, up until now, it seems
Up
like every other
until
week.
a few months ago, yeah.
Yeah, a few months ago, it seems like you look at TechCrunch, you look at the Business Wire. There's yet another startup raising, I know, millions, if not tens of millions of dollars for another product. So, and it's kind of understandably so, as the world becomes more global, more connected, and technology starts playing more and more important role, not on the personal level, but on the organizational level as well. It's only understandably so that the interest in cybersecurity in general, and specifically in sales aspect of it, is growing as well. And I think as a
Growing, yeah.
result, a
Yeah.
lot more people, to your point, they're looking either to transition from technology to cybersecurity. Again, still wearing their sales hat, or maybe even more junior professionals. They're looking at the space and see growth and kind of sustain growth, recession or not, and they're trying to make a career in the space. From your perspective, from your experience,
Yep.
what are some of the um, what are the top three things more junior professionals should focus on to set them up for success in that career?
Yep. So I was always a very proactive person when it comes to learning and always asking customers how could we improve or how could we do things better or learning about their own organization. So and that always helped me to be recognized internally at different organizations and different roles that I've had, which in turn got me invited into sort of leadership development programs that helped me land this current role. But if I go back to the fundamental way that my career has progressed through the years, I think always seek to understand the customer has been the number one skill that I would suggest every sales professional to improve and to always continue using. learn about them, read reports about your customers, understand their industry, become an expert on everything they do and why they do it. And customers are always the best teacher. And what you learn from customers will help you in every sales role, whether you're an SDR, an account manager, you move into managing a team or up in the leadership. Teacher, the best teacher is a customer for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It makes a lot of sense. So it seems kind of over the years, people in sales profession get captivated by a theme or a meme. I think for a while it was inbound that was coined by HubSpot. And
Yep.
after that, it was kind of email sequences were all the
Sales
rage
engagement,
by,
personalization, yes.
yes, they buy Outreach and Sales Loft. Then it was events, large scale, original events. So large scale like RSA or Black Hat or Gartner, and the regional, there's a handful of them as well. I think with COVID, everyone went virtual to virtual meetings or briefings or roundtables. So it seems like every time ChatGPT now is top of mind for a lot of people. So I guess two questions. One is what is working for you now? What is one strategy or one tactic that's producing results for you that you can share?
I think 100% cloud. We have prioritized it so much as a channel, as a alliance, and as a co-sale and co-marketing channel that I decided to move into this cross-functional role to help both the entire product and the entire revenue teams align themselves around how do you sell your cybersecurity products in the cloud marketplace, right? So if you think about why, number one cybersecurity seller in the world, that's Microsoft. Then digital transformation has been happening all over the board. It doesn't matter what industry. COVID just accelerated the digital transformation initiatives that companies had, and as more people work remotely and as more companies move their stuff from on-premise to the cloud or online, basically, there's a bigger need for cybersecurity. So it is what I've seen so far is that with the current economic conditions, most companies are now either they're already in the cloud, they're cloud native, they were born there, or they've migrated a lot of their applications to the cloud. And because that has happened, now they're in a stage from cloud migration to cloud optimization. Right now, the CFOs at every organization are looking at budgets and are saying, in some cases, where can we save money? And that has been happening, unfortunately, in a lot of industries that have been impacted by mass layoffs. But also, even without, even in the industries that are thriving right now, the management teams being very prudent are looking at, hey, where can we save money? So cost optimization in cloud for cybersecurity buyers means, hey, can I buy a third-party software product, or can I buy a third-party managed service in the cloud marketplace? And in that way, I can optimize how I'm managing vendors, right? Fewer vendors, fewer complexity for procurement teams. They have the same terms. So I think buying and selling in cloud marketplace is something that is going to become big, and it's already working out for our organization. I'm pretty sure it's going to be very common in the next few years to prioritize this as a channel.
Certainly. And then, so the cloud marketplaces, are we talking about something like AWS? And you mentioned Microsoft and
Yep.
DigitalOcean, so providers like that not only offer a cloud solution, but also there is kind of a universe of providers kind of supporting that, adopting a certain cloud provider. Is that what?
100%. And even if your solution is, even if it's on premise deployed mostly, right? And even if you don't have necessarily a full cloud solution, and you're also in that journey, maybe part of your application can be delivered as a service. You should still figure out how to get it listed in the marketplace, and then how to make sure companies can transact with it. Because once you're doing that, then even the cloud service provider, the public cloud vendors are going to help you engage, especially at the enterprise level. They're going to help you engage with the end users, with the buyers, and they're going to make you, help you figure out how to drive a deal from, hey, we need to buy X type of software or different type of solution, all the way to, hey, we've purchased the solution through the marketplace, whether it's AWS, Google Cloud, or Azure, and we're happy with it. So I think it is definitely something that's becoming more common, more prevalent, because it benefits both sides, right? It benefits us as a cybersecurity vendor, right? Selling through regular channels sometimes can be expensive. Channels might take 10, 15, 20%. In some cases, with value add, right? They come in, they will be the consultants, they will be the implementers of the solution. They're the trusted advisor of the customer, so they add that value. But in some occasions, right, if it's a fulfillment, near refulfillment of supplies or accessories, or maintenance and support, they might just be taking 15-20% of the vendor's price book. So cloud marketplaces take less than that and help the procurement organization at the end user become more efficient. So I think it's going to be in the very best interest of both sellers and buyers to find each other in the marketplace, especially with so many options for cybersecurity buyers, and so many solutions out there in the market that are all really, really good, right? You can't at this point in time, cybersecurity buyers know very well which brands they want to buy and from who. This is not an area where you have thousands of startups coming up every day. I mean, there are a few out there doing amazing things and growing tremendously, but it's not like the storage world or the networking world where you'll have in RSA you'll have 500 new startups. Cybersecurity startups take time to build their trust in the ecosystem,
Absolutely.
in the market, and cybersecurity buyers by nature, right, are not going to trust the newest shiny thing. They're going to ask from each other. They're going to learn from their peers. Some early adopters will buy the startup solution. So what I'm saying is, there are a bunch of solutions out there in the market that are very good and tested across a variety of cybersecurity fields. Detection, mitigation, in our case, encryption and key management. There are a lot of brands that are out there, very well known, and because the current economic environment, right, depending on your perception, you need to do more with less. So
Sure.
both buyers and sellers, I imagine, we're gonna interact in the cloud quite a lot.
For sure. No, makes sense. Makes sense. You mentioned something that's very interesting, that when cybersecurity startups, when they show up, it takes time for them to build trust, and that CISOs and cybersecurity executives, they learn from each other a lot of times. So they trust each other's experience, often more so than some white paper or even
Absolutely.
G2
Yeah.
Crowd or Gartner Magic Quadrant or not. And with this, it seems that creates a little bit of a challenge for marketing side. So sales, it's
Absolutely.
fairly straightforward. If someone is showing intent, they clicked to schedule a demo, or they attended a webinar, they downloaded a white paper. So somehow they indicated they're interested in the space, they want to learn more. So at that point, all the kind of sophisticated account-based marketing playbooks and content orchestration and outreach kind of goes into place, and all this sales stack with outreach and sales loft kind of comes to life. But before that, it seems more and more of this customer journey, the earlier stages of the customer journey, where they're not ready to buy, but maybe they're problem aware, maybe they're kind of category aware, but they're busy with other problems. And it seems more and more of those stages, as you mentioned, happen in so-called dark funnels, private Slack groups, one-on-one conversations in the hallway, or kind of, et cetera, or at the company level. And I think that creates a challenge for marketers, because the very old saying that I know that half of my marketing budget is wasted. I just don't know which one. It seems a lot of times they have this challenge that they're tasked with generating demand, creating demand, that the sales machine that is tasked with harvesting, with kind of converting demand into paying clients. How do you see this playing out, and what are some of the best practices for, number one, how to set up relationships, a relationship between marketing and sales that both teams kind of are on the same page in terms of what the deliverables are for the company, kind of at the company level to deliver growth? Number one. And number two, what's your advice for the marketing teams out there who are kind of struggling with this environment, with this world where they put content out, but really they don't control it, don't even see sometimes how they can attribute their actions to the outcome?
That's a long question to address
Sorry,
in
well,
few minutes,
we'll
right?
split it. We'll split it in two. So the first one is, what are some of the things, some of the best ways to structure work and kind of the working relation between sales and marketing, so both teams are aligned on what the goal is?
Perfect. So, I mean, I don't want to say that's easy. I mean, the framework and the theory is easy. Implementation, the communication process, and the relationship building that happens from that is complex and sometimes trying and difficult. But, one thing, obviously, at the start of every good sales and marketing relationship, the heads of each other need to meet and sort of have a handshake over what's the sales journey, sales process, sales definition, what's a sales accepted lead, what's an MQL, what's an SQL, and just make sure, like, hey, marketing understands what sales is expecting, sales understand when marketing is going to draw the line, and also gets involved in the process of giving feedback, not just saying, hey, we received 1,000 SQLs and none of them work. Like, go meet each other and discuss why it didn't work. Was it the entire process of finding product market fit requires a lot of feedback from sales, and improving the growth once you've achieved product market fit, and improving the acquisition channels also requires sales to give back what they learn, what they hear on the street, and more importantly, one thing that marketing should definitely demand, no longer ask, right, but demand from sales is, customer references. The cybersecurity buyers learn from each other. So if you've done a good work in doing discovery with a customer, you found a problem and your solution solved their need, there is no reason why at the end of that you can't come in and say, hey, would you write a case study with us? Would you be a customer testimonial? And I completely understand that not many of our customers, because of the nature of what we do, are willing to go out publicly and say, hey, I use X company, Utimaco, for encryption, because of the nature of the business is that it should stay sort of not confidential, but at least low profile and discreetly under the radar, right? So I understand not everybody wants to come out and talk openly about their vendors, but the sales managers should have an incentive to get more customer references. The salespeople on the street should know, like, hey, if I land a case study from this customer, I get an additional X thousand of bucks against my comp plan. Whatever, in any way that you can do it, but make sure customers are talking about you. And sales and marketing need to do that job. Otherwise, all of the other activities that both sales and marketing will do are just gonna have more friction, right? If you have customers talking about you, everything is gonna flow a whole lot smoother.
For sure, and it makes a lot of sense. It's I guess communication and making sure that both sales and marketing, well, teams, but also executives are aligned on definitions of what and the process. Because I think where disconnect happens is that what we often find is sales teams are incentivized on monthly or quarterly kind of time frame, right? You have to deliver a certain amount in pipeline, or a certain amount in closed deals, or a certain amount in discovery calls or whatnot. And by the nature of the job for marketing, and I'm going back kind of to my second part of the question, they often deal with prospects who are kind of, they're more upstream in their customer journey, and because of that, the sales cycles are long. So
Yeah.
you can, they're playing the long game, because
Mm.
for them to talk to someone who's new, or maybe just they were appointed a promoter recently to the C-level, for them to have from the first conversation to the signed deal, the path is much longer versus someone who's already done their research. They already talked to their peers. They're almost there, so they're ready to talk to sales. The cycle for kind of converting the conversation to a signed deal is much shorter. So I think where, as you mentioned, this friction comes from is from just the nature of the fact that sales teams are often playing a shorter game, kind of by design, and the marketing team, if they're tasked purely, not purely, but if they're tasked for the most part on demand generation, those tend to be longer in terms of the cycle. And what will be your advice to kind of the marketing teams out there who are dealing with this, decision makers who kind of walk that customer path and the dark funnels that lack attribution and lack direct feedback?
I'm very opinionated about this. A lot of people don't like how I think about this, but I think marketing needs to own a part of the pipeline. I think the SDR team should report to marketing 100%. I think it's part of demand generation. The SDRs, especially in an industry like ours, they need to be able to understand the customer. They need to be very well enabled to talk the customer language, because you're giving the most entry-level salesperson the responsibility to go talk to usually a senior person, right? And that individual has 30 seconds to make an impact, right? So it's the hardest job to the least experienced person. That team needs to be very well enabled with content, with understanding of the market, with know-how, which are things the marketing team are thinking about when they're building their audiences, the brand, the positioning of the message. So I am very much in favor of having the entire SDR organization as part of the marketing team. And as part of that, you draw the line a little bit further in the opportunity section, right? Marketing has generated X number of opportunities, right? No longer leads. And now those opportunities, once the account manager, account executive qualifies them, have a specific pipeline. So now you have, hey, marketing generated X amount of pipeline, period. I think it's a very simple, maybe, way of looking at it. At
But I
the
think it
end,
aligns incentives a lot better. So it's no longer just throwing something over the wall and hoping it sticks, right? It's just
plus,
you own the top line, a number in the top line growth, right?
how many of these back and forth conversations do you want? I mean, if you're having weekly meetings where you're trying to figure out, hey, is this an SQL? Why did you reject it? Let's push all of that. No, I'm not saying we push it aside, right? But you move forward with it and you say, hey, an opportunity is very clear. The lead has showed some form of interest. You've qualified it with specific timeline. You've identified the decision makers. So it's very sort of cut dry. Hey, this is an actual opportunity. Marketing generated X number of opportunities. So I think it's an easier way of solving that challenge. And being truthful, there are so many challenges that you need to solve on a revenue organization. Now you need to look at revenue from lead all the way to cash, and especially in the current economic conditions, you need to worry also about your existing customers. So churn is a challenge right now, which it might have not been a problem 12 months ago. You might have cancellations if you're a SaaS vendor, right? So you need to look at sales, marketing, and now customer success. Keep an eye on existing customers is very important right now. So if you need to look at all of those trees, do you really want to be concerned about this tiny section of the sales process where marketing is doing the handoff to sales, or you just say, let this chunk be entirely part of marketing with its own dedicated headcount, its own team. So I'm not saying let's have SDRs reporting to the content marketing manager, right? No, you still need that SDR manager because that role is tough and you need somebody that can coach them, bring the best in the SDRs and make sure they're still motivated, right? So if that reports into marketing, then you can continue looking at the entire funnel and focus on things that are going to drive the biggest return, not
Absolutely.
not process issues. Yep.
So that makes a lot of sense. Eyal, I know we're coming up on time. Last couple questions. We talk about events. Any plans to go to RSA this year? Maybe Black Hat?
I will always be at RSA, despite my intentions not to go. I think it's always a great show for cybersecurity vendors, right? I think I can always ensure I get to talk to old friends, new friends, old acquaintances, both buyers, competitors. So I think it's always fun to go. I don't know to what extent cybersecurity buyers go to RSA and shop around, right? I've always said that I have never sold something in RSA until there was one time when I was exactly saying that, and somebody came to my back and said, "Hey, I'm looking to buy X," and we were exactly advertising that, and that happened at RSA, and it was an OEM deal 6 months later. So I think it's a necessary evil that I enjoy because I get to see people that I don't normally see anymore, right? So that's always fun.
Absolutely. Well, I hope we'll get to meet face to face there. I know we're coming up on time. Where can people find you? What's the best way to connect?
LinkedIn. That's the easiest way to find me.
Excellent. Yeah. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much. Have a good one.